Good morning, OCSL family. Hope you are all well and bright this morning. Feel like it's going to be a beautiful day. Happy to be here with you all. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think that God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new. And God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. All that I must do. And now I'd like to introduce Susan Urquhart Brown. Welcome, Susan.
Good morning and welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And let's just give a shout out to our wonderful musicians today, Kev Choice and Omega Ray. Thank you so much. And we are so glad that you have joined us this morning. So, welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach spiritual principles and practices that nourish us, uplift us, and create and celebrate our oneness with all of life. Welcome to those of you joining us via Zoom today, and a special welcome to those of you who are joining us for the very first time on the Sunday morning. If you'd like to connect with us, please send an email to Constance Chapman, our administrative coordinator, at constance@oaklandcsl.org. And in order to maintain a sacred atmosphere this morning, I do invite you to please take a moment to make sure that your Zoom microphone and video are muted and turned off. Thank you. Now, let's bless our children wherever they are. We honor all our youth and children in our community and the world. We love you. We see you. You are Spirit's gift to us. Thank you for being in our lives. And so it is. So, as usual, we have announcements this morning. Next Wednesday, practitioner Elena Hutchinson is continuing a theme of Pulled by Vision. Meditation is at 6:30 and the service starts at 7 and it is on Zoom. Today, however, will be our last Zoom Sunday service. Starting July 18th, we're going to live streaming and also from the sanctuary. So July 18th and 25th will be soft openings, meaning only those working the service will be able to attend. But then the grand opening will be August 1st, and we will be wearing masks and practicing social distancing. So check your website for further information. So writing as a spiritual practice starts next week. Sign up now and be part of the first post-pandemic in-person class at the center. You'll be writing and learning in a socially distanced classroom setting. Please join our Reverend Catherine Socks for a 6-week journey, writing as spiritual practice. Its class starts July 17th at 6:30. The cost is $125, and you can sign up on the current classes page of the website. Also, join Reverend Savannah Riker for an in-person or Zoom workshop. It's called If I Were Brave, and it is on July 25th from 12:30 to 3 p.m. The cost is $40 and pre-registration is necessary. As an added bonus, once you register, you will be able to attend the Sunday service on July 25th. Check the events page for details and to register. Our practitioner Zoe DeMuro and villager Nikki Royce are hosting another Sunday afternoon in the courtyard. That's this afternoon from 1:30 to 3:30. Social distancing and other health guidelines will be followed. Please join them there. It's very fun. Our beloved Reverend Jeff's memorial service will be September 4th at 11 a.m. Please RSVP using the link on the events page or in the Village News. Interested in remembering Reverend Jeff by rafting on his favorite river? Our own Janine Perry, along with Krista McAtee and Janet Dupree from Santa Rosa, have organized a memorial rafting trip on the American River September 17th through the 19th. This is not affiliated with the Oakland Center, so to find out more and reserve your spot, contact Janet Dupree at 707-478-7300, and her number is on the events page of the website. Do you have a vision for what you'd like to see in the bookstore? As we begin to think about reopening, Linda Wyman would like to train an assistant manager. This person would share responsibility with her for ordering, keeping track of inventory requests, and budget. While not required to be a cashier, this person must be willing and able to take on cashier responsibilities and troubleshoot problems in the bookstore. To apply, please contact Linda Wyman at bookstore@oaklandcsl.org. As always, check the Village News for links to these and other activities, and our information central is oaklandcsl.org. We have many more groups, ministries, and events happening here. For information, check our website, our information central, oaklandcsl.org. And now I invite you to please read along with me as we read our vision and mission statement. The vision of Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to joyfully reveal the love and oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music, prayer, and play. And so it is. And now I would like to introduce Debbie Morris, one of our board members, for a short announcement. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, Luchan, are you here?
I am here.
Okay. I'm going to make a special presentation in your honor to thank you and appreciate you for being the Youth and Family Director since 2017. And I had to go and look that up on our text from when we very first started this journey. But we hear you're going on to do bigger and better things. Definitely not leaving us in any way.
Yeah, hi.
But
I know, I was gonna, yeah, perfect, okay.
But
And then I'll introduce Robin. Okay, thanks, bye.
we want to thank you and appreciate you. So you'll be getting a appreciation gift in a couple of weeks, because we're not in the sanctuary right now. Can't give it to you right now, but we do love you. We do appreciate you. The Board of Trustees and the entire village, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, appreciates everything that you've done for youth and family. We know you're leaving it in good hands, and we also know that you're really not leaving it because you'll be around.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I love our community. I feel so celebrated and loved. I really appreciate that.
Well, you were the right man for the job, that's for sure. And I thank you for stepping in all them places that you didn't really know you were going to step into.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. We love you.
Love you too.
Yes, we do. I want to jump in here after Deb. Thank you, Debbie. That was a beautiful, beautiful recognition of our wonderful Luchan Baker. But I want to jump in here and mention to everybody today that next Sunday is live streaming only. Okay, so there won't be a Zoom on Sunday, but there'll be live streaming so that you can watch our services on live stream, just like we used to do. Okay, so we will not be letting everybody back into the sanctuary. Okay, I just want to be really clear about that, because our grand opening is August 1st. Okay, so that's when that's going to happen. So next Sunday's the 18th. It's going to be live stream only. The following is the 25th, which is when Reverend Savannah will be speaking. And those people who have signed up for her class, if they would like to, they are allowed to come into the sanctuary fully masked, We are going to be following the protocols. All right. I just want to really be clear about that. So those will be the only people who will be in the sanctuary, those who signed up with Reverend Savannah's class. Okay. So otherwise you can watch us again on live stream like we used to do. It's just as delightful. And then on August 1st, we are going to have our grand opening. And those of you who would love to come into the sanctuary fully masked, and we will also be doing according to our rules, this social distancing with our seating, and that'll be fun too. We will also be live streaming that day too. So I wanted to just make sure we were really clear about that as I grab the microphone away from Debbie. And now I'm going to turn it over to Robin Rice Olmsted.
Thank you, Peggy. Good morning, everyone. So let's all just take a collective breath. A lot of information. You didn't know that you had to have your calendars ready, did you? But that's the kind of community we are. So just make sure you mark your calendars to be at Savannah's workshop, and then Reverend Savannah's workshop, and then to also be one of the first guests in the sanctuary then, or join us live August 1st. So much is happening.
Robin, sorry, your face is covered for some reason. There you are.
Yay. All right. And I know there's a lot of questions in the chat about how do we live stream. And if you go to the website, all of that will be taken care of, or you can talk with one of us afterwards and we'll be happy to let you know that. So it'll be easy and effortless, because that's what we're claiming. All right. So now to begin with readings. The first reading is from Ernest Holmes. One of the greatest stumbling blocks in any man's spiritual advancement is dishonesty. The refusal to honestly face an idea, if that happens, not to please him. This comes in part from the human tendency to take the line of least resistance, whether it be in our physical endeavors or in the operation of our mind. Confronted with an idea that repudiates one we have held for years, we go far out of our way, entirely around the idea, to keep from being compelled to analyze and possibly to absorb it. Our cry is, I do not like to believe that. Back of this is the fear that an idea may be forced into our consciousness, which will uncover to us our own responsibility. And our second reading from Diane Harmony. Faith is a spiritual conviction that what we know has greater power than any apparent material appearance and or resistance. Thus, in faith, we can surrender into the vision of our I am and know at the deepest level of our being that it is the Father, Mother, God within us that does the work. So just once again, breathing into all of that and turning within, closing your eyes if you're comfortable. And how grateful I am to just acknowledge the Father, Mother, God, the divine, the infinite, that is closer than our very breath, that is breathing us, knowing that that is the breath of love, of peace, of joy, of compassion. And just breathing into that, just knowing that I am, that I am inseparable from this presence, that each and every one of us is the living, breathing image of the Holy Spirit. And I know that we are inseparable from our good, from our peace, from our love, from our joy, from our passion, from our commitment. And so I just know, standing in that, basking in that, anchoring that we go forward. I know that we go forward to this day, which the Lord hath made, truly, and just open up our minds and our hearts and our ears and surrender to this place, this time, which we have been divinely appointed to show up together and to just allow Spirit to speak to us and speak through Luchan Baker, knowing that Luchan stands open and ready to receive God's message. And how grateful we are to all that have shown up, knowing that we each play a divine role. And so we just give that a space and a time and allow it into our lives. And so I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful for this knowing. I'm grateful to stand in this awareness and to truly just allow Spirit to have its way with me, knowing that as it does, this service just is the best service ever. And that we take it with us out into our week and live it and breathe it and give it life to all of those who may never enter our doors. And for this and so much more, I am grateful. And I just release this word and allow it to be. And so it is. And now it is my honor to turn it over to Kev Choice and Omega Ray.
My destiny has been fulfilled by you, God. And my search is over, and I rest in thee. Every path has led to this moment. Every step I have taken has led me to this higher place. Everything I have ever done has served me to see God's holy face. My destiny has been fulfilled by you, God. And my search is over, and I rest in thee. Past lives, they make no difference. Future lives, they don't concern me. My future and my past are rolled into this moment. In God is eternal. My life in God is eternal, and I am free forevermore. My search is over, and I rest in thee, in thee. I rest in thee. I rest in thee. Something in me knew this all along. In my life is a melody of God's freedom song. And if this song is sung by the heavenly host, I rest in thee. I rest in thee. Jesus all along. My life is a melody of God's freedom song, and this song is sung by the heavenly host. I rest in thee. I rest in thee. I rest in thee. My destiny has been fulfilled by you, fulfilled by you, yes. And my search is over, and I rest in thee, in thee. I rest in thee. I rest in thee. I rest in thee. Luchan Baker, where you at? We'd like to welcome Luchan Baker. I don't think we can hear you.
I'm in here. I'm right here.
Hey, there you are. Good to see you.
You too. Good to see you, sis. How is everyone? I'm still shaken up by that last song. All right, y'all. I see you shining. Wow. Thank you for honoring me. I miss our babies every day. What a service we've already had already. Our monthly theme is Pulled by Vision. When I first heard this title, for some reason, I thought of a game of tug of war. I was focused more on the pulled part of the title than the actual vision. Pulled by vision. Well, what I know about a game of tug of war is that oftentimes we may look at tug of war as a game where we are called to pull against each other and fight, and whoever gives up first is how you end up getting pulled in that little vat of mud in the middle. Well, then I realized that the people who have perfected this game of tug of war have learned that actually it is the team that has mastered the art of grounding yourself into the earth and allowing the other team to tire themselves out by pulling and resisting. That is how you actually win the game of tug of war. So I sat with that for a while and thought about what it means to ground ourselves into the world. Our weekly theme is your commitment bigger than your resistance? Now, if there's any word I have challenges accepting in my life, it is that word commitment. See, to me, all commitment really means is continuing to give my all, even when I do not feel like it. Even when I now dislike the goal and activity attached with it altogether. Even when the thought of continuing gets me nauseated. Commitment, blah. You know, in gym etiquette, especially amongst those of us who like lifting heavy weights, there's a certain code and a certain way we go about things that the rest of the world may not know. If you see a friend of yours who is dedicated to lifting heavy weights, especially free weights, and you see them getting bigger and buffer by the day, oftentimes they will not accept the compliments you give them. Just try it. Walk up to your bodybuilding friend one day and say, wow, you getting buff. Look at that. I promise you, they'll probably either give you a compliment right back or say something like corny, like, oh, I'm just trying to be like you. The reason for that is we all believe amongst each other as bodybuilders, well, you can't tell now because I ain't been in the gym, but that the moment we start accepting compliments is the very moment we'll stop being hungry and stop being committed to going into that gym and going through the pain we put ourselves through. A friend of mine one day, who is not familiar at all with gym etiquette, approached me and gave me a compliment about how big I was getting at the time. And I replied back to him, well, hey, I'm not a handsome guy like you, so I got to get the gym, right? Needless to say, it made him very uncomfortable and he stopped returning my phone calls for a while. Commitment. Commitment is when I do not feel like it. One of the guys I used to work out with used to always tell me it is the days where we do not feel like going into the gym that we need to go in the most. As soon as you don't feel like it, you look up and wow, it's been another 6 months since I've ever been in the gym again. Commitment. This is how I feel about commitment until I'm witnessing greatness displayed before me. Like the time I saw Nelson Mandela speak at the Oakland Coliseum. Like watching Joe Montana back in the day win after trailing behind the entire game. Greatness can only be manifested through commitment, and resistance only slows down our greatness. Is your commitment greater than your resistance? Now, in order to do this, what needs to occur? What needs to occur in order for us to commit to our vision, commit to our own personal greatness? See, what we're really talking about is living beyond the ego. To me, the ego is much like that one person we all know of. That person who's always in somebody's ear trying to play on their insecurities and get them to do things they wouldn't normally do if that person we all know of was not around. Always acting like you and everyone around should be trying to earn their approval. The ego is always fighting to stay relevant by keeping our full attention, which is okay, I guess, but then we allow the ego to get us in trouble, and then where's the ego after that, right? See, I know that person in me. That person is around always trying to be like, hey, remember me? And the times I listen and get myself in trouble, that's when the ego goes, oh, wow, you really did that. I didn't know you was going to do it, though. And then they bounce. Yes, the ego is always talking, always trying to be heard, always trying to be relevant. But who do we listen to? Who do I listen to is what I ask myself. See, just as the ego is constantly speaking, so is the soul. Your God self is constantly speaking as well. But which one do you listen to? The voice that says it's too hard, let's just go ahead and quit right now. Or the voice that says enjoy the journey and live from and in the now. Now, I'm sure we all want to say it's the soul we listen to. But how do we know which one is which? There are only two vibrations, love and fear. Love is oneness. Love is seeing everything as a reflection of oneself. Fear is the belief in two forces. We say God is all there is. And then that one friend of ours comes along and says, yeah, but what about that over there? That's scary. That one thing over there that frightens us so much. No, that can't be God over there. Let's just stay away from that. The soul speaks from oneness. The ego speaks from me over everything. I'll speak for myself. Sometimes the soul can be rather annoying. I'm going to just say it. Sometimes that voice of the soul can really just get on my nerves. Always trying to be goody-goody and boring and just always reminding me of my vision. Goodness. Yeah, I said it. I like to take a break from my vision every now and then. I don't always want to have to surrender and listen to the voice of God. I don't always want to do that, y'all. I'm being honest. Sure, I get dragged when it happens, but I'm just being real right now. The soul speaks to remind us of our vision and our oneness with God. And for me, that can be outright annoying at times. How do I know it's my actual vision and not just another ego trip? Because your vision is always selfless. Your vision is always selfless. Thinking about our beloved Reverend Jeff, I really want to talk about and remember the times where, even though we are honoring me for being the youth and family coordinator since 2017, I have to be real and say the times weren't always beautiful for me. There were times where I called Reverend Jeff and my ego was swollen and making sure everyone knew it was there. And this beautiful man would just flash that smile and that mustache of his and make everything better. He knew how to remind me of the vision. He knew how to remind me, no, young man. There is something greater than your ego that we are focusing on at this moment. And we get to surrender to that. He did it so elegant and so beautifully and so smooth. He would remind me that there is a vision greater than myself in this moment. That's what he did for me. Just yesterday, I was at a barbecue for one of my wife's nephews, and he's graduating high school and going on to college and just doing great things in the world. And the DJ was spinning a flawless set the entire day. Now, a lot of my friends know that when it comes to hip hop, I'm very critical of MCs, and this one MC by the name of J. Cole has never really been my favorite. He's not a terrible MC. I mean, his subject matter is on point. He has lyrics. His voice is dope. He picks great beats. But for some reason, there's always been something missing that just did not bring me into him. Last night, I got on my Shazam app quite a few times because this DJ was also good at playing music I hadn't heard before and made me curious. Now, we all know how Shazam works. You press the Shazam button, you put your phone up to the speaker, and then we get to hear and find out what it is the song that you are curious about. On 4 different occasions last night, I ended up Shazamming a song I did not know of, but really enjoyed the song and realized, wow, that's off of J. Cole's newest album. This is what greatness looks like when we surrender to our vision. Even the ones who aren't feeling you and swell, they will never, ever feel you. There comes a point where you can be so focused on God and so focused on your vision that even those who may actually gladly classify themselves as haters have no choice but to say, you know what? That right there was amazing. Here I am gladly telling the world, I just do not like this MC right here. And on 4 different occasions, I heard songs that made me leap to my feet and run to the speaker with my phone to figure out whose song that was. Your vision is greater than your ego. Have we really forgotten how awesome we are? Have I forgotten how awesome I am? Have you forgotten just how awesome you are? Stop pretending. Look, I get it. My own greatness scares the mess out of me too at times, but don't flinch. Get over it. That is you. Your vision is supposed to frighten you. Reverend Derica Blackman said that. Your vision is supposed to frighten you. That's how you know it's from God. But guess what else? Your vision is not only your vision. It is also an assignment given to you directly from the source. An assignment given to you because God knows you are capable. Show me a lawyer who can argue with that. Are you about to argue with God? I don't care what you are dealing with in your life. I don't care what that other voice is telling you. You got this. And we need you to do it. We need you to. This is what I'm realizing about community. This is what I'm realizing about the oneness we love talking about. Someone needs to see you succeed. Someone needs to see you accomplish that one goal, that one thing, that one vision that God has given you and has scared you out of your pants. Someone needs to see you do that. This is how we move the consciousness and expand it amongst all of us. We all must pay attention to our vision. Let it be the only thing you see, even when you shut your eyes at night. Let it haunt you. Allow your dreams, your goals, your passion, your vision to keep you up at night. This is how important it is. Is your commitment greater than your resistance? A question that can only be answered with actions. I remember back in 1991, I joined a Pop Warner football team called the Berkeley Cougars. 1991. I refer to it in music terms. There was a song by Pete Rock and CL Smooth called Reminisce. They reminisce over you, Troy. And goodness gracious, just hearing the sound of that saxophone in the background, I can still smell the grass from Berkeley's East Campus every time I hear that song. And it was around the time where I was really trying to prove myself to this team. I knew nothing about football. I was literally freestyling everything. I didn't have enough in me to tell the coaches, I don't even know about this game. I just want to play because my best friend is playing. I couldn't catch, couldn't run, couldn't hit, couldn't do any of that. But somehow I still made it on the team. And so today is the day we're supposed to get our pads and try on our equipment. And now it's official to me. Now I'm getting goosebumps. Now I'm actually freaked out because I realize this is a real thing now. And as we're trying on equipment, we boys, we're patting our chest, we're pushing each other and shoving each other and acting all tough. And because I'm the new person, people are doing it to me more than anyone else. And it was a very challenging day for me. And needless to say, I went home and told my mom, I quit. I don't ever want to play on this team again. Football's stupid. Please don't make me go back. And my mama sat there with her famous poker face and allowed me to cry and scream and sling snot everywhere. And she finally said, yes, son, you can quit, but only after you finish this season. After you finish this season, if you still want to quit and never play football again, fine, you can do that. That was one of the greatest gifts my mother ever gave me. I went on to play football for I don't know how many seasons after that. My mother taught me a valuable lesson that when you start something, you finish it. And once you finish it, if you then decide, I don't ever want to do that again, you don't have to. But we must always follow through with our commitment. There's a certain integrity in our soul. There's something that just ignites in us where even if it wasn't a pleasant experience for us, the fact that we follow through with our commitment gives us a sense of accomplishment and greatness. We get to figure out who we are through that commitment. That was the day Mama didn't let me quit. We get what we put in. We get what we put in. See, we can't run away from commitment. We're all committed to something right now. Even if we're committed to running away from our own greatness, we get what we put in. So what I'm realizing with this science of mind thing, this new thought thing, this consciousness thing is what I'm seeing around me is a result to what it is I've decided to commit to. I don't like the way my bank account looks right now. I get to realize maybe I need to commit to learning more about money. I don't like the relationship I have with my family. I get to realize maybe I need to commit to getting to know them people better. If I don't like the way my stomach is looking right now, is your commitment greater than your resistance? Resistance is hell, for it places man in a state of torment. Now, of course, we're evolved beings, and we know that whatever our pronoun is, we can just insert it in that quote given to us by Florence Shin. But that is very true. We create our own hell. And we are always expanding and becoming greater than who we were yesterday. Life is everlasting and God is forever and ever expanding. So therefore, the ego really wants us to be comfortable and stay in that small idea of what we think of ourselves. And the moment we begin to expand, it begins to tell us this is scary. Let's just stay where we are. I work as a case manager in San Francisco's Tenderloin area. And I see a lot of our unhoused population. A lot of these people are dealing with substance abuse issues and all kinds of things. And I realize when I look at these people that these are just reflections of my own self. I too know what it's like to want to run away from my own greatness. I know what it's like to see that and be like, no, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I want to be comfortable. I want to stay where I am. I know what that looks like. And we create our own hell when we do it. You are meant to be great. I'm sorry, you are. You are meant to shine. You are meant to be amazing. You already are. And we are constantly being called and summoned by the source to express it to the world. Yet when we run from it, we only create our own hell. This is greatness. I'll be honest. I'm going to give you an unpopular opinion right now. I was not a Kobe Bryant fan. While that man was alive, I did not like him. Not him as a person, but literally because I am a dedicated Warriors fan. And because he would always give it to my team and embarrass the mess out of us, I did not like that man. I did not. No, I'm telling you the truth. But one thing I could never front on was his skills on the court. No matter what, I would try my best to hate Kobe. And every time I would watch him play, I would jump at him. Whoa, did you just see what he did? Literally, when we surrender to our greatness, it converts our haters. Are we pulled by our vision? Or are we pulled by our fear? Are we pulled by our ego? What ignites us? What sets us off? What brings that spirit out of us to where we cannot contain it and we have to share it to the world? Remember that commitment is the only way we even get to see our greatness. But before that, we must have to do that one thing. You know, that one other word I dislike almost as much as commitment. We get to surrender. We get to surrender. Is my commitment greater than my resistance? I have to remember that we are all here today literally because somebody was committed to getting us here for this experience called life. Somebody committed to that just for us to even have this experience right now. See, this is how I keep myself in check when I want to use that word quit. Somebody didn't quit on me. And my vision is not just my vision. I think about the way of the samurai. You know, samurais believe that if you're a real samurai, you don't die of old age. The way of the samurai is if you don't die in battle, you are not a samurai. The samurai is dedicated to this philosophy. And so I think about that when it comes to our visions and our goals and the things that it just, we want to just immerse ourselves in, that's make our soul sing. I think about this. It's easy to look at the ballet. I go to Alvin Ailey every time they come to town. It's easy to watch a dancer of that sort and be amazed. Have you ever seen a ballerina's feet under those slippers? Have you ever seen what goes on under the slippers? It's not pretty. A ballerina's feet are not. We're looking at torment under that shoe. It shows us just what commitment really looks like. We rock those battle scars with pride, with whatever it is we want to do. We see our musical selection today. We see who's singing for us. We know about, come on now. I would love to be able to play like Kev. I would love to be able to do that on that piano. But am I willing to put in the hours he's put in? Am I willing to miss the parties he's missed? Am I willing to really sit there and understand what I'm looking at to the point to where I cannot sleep at night? All I want to do is bang on that piano. Am I willing to do that? We have this beautiful music today because somebody's commitment was greater than their resistance. It's always a beautiful thing when I'm watching other people do it. When it's my turn, I'm just not so happy about it. I'm gonna be honest. It's not fun when my number gets called. I love watching all of y'all be great. But when it's my turn, it's like, can I just watch y'all for a little while longer? We are all great. We are all individual expressions of the source. We are all drops of water from the ocean of God. We are all these things. And we all have an obligation to express our greatness. No, it's not going to be pretty. We are outright going to be dragged and like it says, pulled by our vision. We get to all have that one day where our knees get scraped and dirty. But is your commitment greater than your resistance? I'll be honest with everybody, because I know I'm with family right now. I'm going through a very challenging time in my life. In fact, it's moments like these that help me to see that what I'm going through is greater than the pain I'm feeling. In moments like these. And I'm so grateful to share this with you right now. But I am going through a very intense growth process in my life right now, and I do not like the way it feels. But I'm committed. I'm committed to being the best father I can. I am committed to being the best husband I can, the best son I could be, the best brother I can be, the best employee, the best whatever it is God has called me to be. I am committed. And even though I am going kicking, screaming, and cussing, I know that on the other end of this dark moment in my life is nothing but light and greatness and celebration. Oakland CSL. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here on this beautiful Sunday. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for the guidance. Thank you for putting me in check and reminding me of my own personal vision. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And right now in this moment, I'm knowing all is well. I'm knowing that we, as the Oakland Center of Spiritual Living, are not afraid of our visions, for we are pulled by it. I speak my word for everyone on this Zoom, everyone outside this Zoom, knowing that we are all connected and all one with the one thing that we call God. And that we allow our commitment on this day and forevermore to be greater than our own resistance. We bless our resistance and we put it away where it should be. And we allow our wings to open and we are unapologetically shine and shine and shine and shine. I am knowing this is so. I am giving thanks, knowing that the word that the universe only uses is yes. And so we celebrate that yes and bless this entire service, knowing all is well and all is perfect. And so it is. And so now it's time for our offertory statement. There we go. All right. Here is our offertory statement right here that we all get to say in unison. I will say it right now. This gift I give is God in action. It does good work in the world and blesses creation. And so it is. Of course, we know we can donate by hitting the donate button right there on the screen. Boom, there we go. We are in alignment. I love how Spirit works. We can also text donate. And we can also send our donations in. If we go to the site, we can see where to actually send our checks and money and all different versions of expressing our own abundance and prosperity. And so now it is with great pleasure and gratitude that I get to announce and hand it on over to my aunt, Practitioner Carmen West Jefferson. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, nephew. You were awesome. Oh my God, you are awesome. What a wonderful, absolutely inspiring message. Just beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just speechless, but just wonderful. We are so blessed to have you. So blessed. And congratulations on your moving through your new journey. And I just know it is just with absolutely with many blessings. Ah, I know everyone with the chat's just been going off about this wonderful message that Practitioner Luchan has done. And I just want to give everybody a minute to just settle and just be with that message today. How wonderful it is. So it is now my pleasure, after hearing my nephew, that I get to introduce my friend, my shiro, for our July nonprofit our nonprofit for July, East Oakland Youth Development Center, and its CEO and president, Regina Jackson. And a little bit about Regina. Regina is heavily invested in the future of our children. For the past 27 years, EOYDC has taken on the challenge of molding and mentoring young people by providing a safe space for youth to recognize their value and realize their dreams. Regina has proven relentless in this challenge, completing 11.5 million renovation and expansion of the campus in 2015. Over the years, she has proven East Oakland Youth Development Center to be a model environment for nurturing young minds, establishing and expanding community engagement, youth empowerment, and leadership development resources. Through her theory of change, character-based leadership model, and her comprehensive compassion and emotional intelligence concept, she has established an excellent driven culture in the heart of an urban war zone. 30,000 students strong with ties from HBCUs to Ivy League to the NBA. A culture she bathed in adamant defiance of fear, status quo, and circumstance through teaching that goals are stepping stones not to be met, but crushed under the weight of one's stride towards their true purpose. May I further add that our speaker, practitioner Luchan, is part of this culture of EOYDC, that he has benefited from it, as well as my own children. Dr. Jackson, who is an honorary doctorate from USF, an expert in her field, is often invited domestically and internationally to deliver public testimony workshops, TED Talks, webinars, papers, IDC presentations, lead cross-cultural exchange delegations to Asia in support of presidential initiatives. Regina is an advisor to more than 6 nonprofit finance and educational organizations. She was appointed by Mayor of Oakland to serve on the Police Commission for the City of Oakland in 2017. On February 14, 2019, Regina was elected chair of the Police Commission and has been unanimously re-elected twice. Most recently, Miss Regina Jackson, or Miss Regina as she's affectionately known from her participants and the children that she mentors, was part of the inaugural class of Black conductors trained through Blooming Willow Coaching and Training, recently certified in healing-centered coaching. Regina is the mother of 2 adult sons. And with that, I'd like to introduce to you Miss Regina Jackson, President and CEO of EOYDC and our nonprofit partner for July.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you so very much for believing in the power of our work, so much so that you invested your own children and nephews and family and community members to refer them to our programming and our empowering experiences 5 days a week. I am simply honored to speak before you all today and want to thank the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living for even having this kind of space. Nonprofits don't necessarily have this type of access. And so I want to thank all of you for making that possible. And to my baby Luchan, oh my. So many of the messages that you shared just pierced my heart. Not only were they true and empowering, but I live so many of those messages. So I just want to tell you how proud I am of your growth, of your messaging, as well as the fact that J. Cole could renew or re-energize you, even if you thought maybe he couldn't, right? I mean, that is the power of a courageous leader, to be able to connect and shift based upon how you are touched each and every day. Now I'm going to get back to the East Oakland Youth Development Center. I want to share that when I first got ready to take the helm at EOYDC, I was terribly fearful. And this kind of goes to the message that Pastor Luchan was sharing. My mother told me, you know, if you're not afraid of it, it's not big enough. And with that, I've always been taught to face my fears. And so I jumped in with both feet. That was in 1994, almost 27 years ago. And as I often tell people, nonprofit work, and specifically EOYDC work, is like the Peace Corps. It's the toughest job you'll ever love. Within our focus, and I know there's been a flyer up to talk about our theory of change. It's very interesting because I think it's pretty simple. You give young people expectations rooted in character-based development. You train them to exude those character-based elements. You provide them the social and emotional support to take the risk of being fearful and still try. Then you train them to access
the power of their own possibility. And then you put the power in their hands and help them and guide them and support them when they are doing well and when they're not doing so well. One of the most exciting visions that I had was about youth-led initiatives. You know, people talk about youth development, but how do you really measure if it's making an impact? You actualize it, put them in those positions of power, guide them, affirm them, empower them, and continue to challenge them. And you know what happens? Those young people grow up to be the Pastor Lucians that you're hearing from today. They grow up to be the PhDs in nuclear physics and social work that are now running as program managers, Livermore Labs, and the Office of Community Engagement for the Biden administration. You empower them and they become teachers and doctors and lawyers and electricians and janitors. They touch every sphere that you can imagine. And yes, they're in the NBA. They are the Keisha Coles and the Dwayne Wiggins leading the musical world. But what's most important is that they are holistically affirmed and courageous people. They are, in most instances, breaking the chains of poverty and creating better options, not only for their lives, but their families' lives as well. Our 4 buckets of programming are arts, wellness, education, and careers. And when I first came into the organization, education was not a primary consideration. We swapped education out of the counseling component because we recognized that our kids, man, they could draw, they could play basketball, they could run track and field, but they had very poor grades. And those were the things that made them cower in the corner when you would ask them, so how are you doing in school? So we recognized that we needed to provide the social and emotional support along with this cascading mentoring of young people just a few years ahead of them to show them that if they look in the rearview mirror, the power of their own greatness is before them, is ahead of them. They can be like the youth leaders that are teaching them and encouraging them. And what that has built is such an incredible data point. 85% of my professional staff are alums. They are young people who started out in all of our programs and specifically a lot of the youth-led programs. Because as people often ask me, how do you know where all your kids are? How did you get this number of young people to come back? And I said, you know, we didn't just think it up one day. It was a basic ingredient in the cakes that I was baking when I first walked in the door. We wanted them to understand the power of servant leadership, the importance of giving back, and the absolutely critical requirement that they be courageous enough to lead. One of my young people who was, man, she was a basketball player at Castlemont, went on to get her degree at Xavier, and became the principal at the Michelle Obama School in LA. She told me that something she'd never heard from anyone in high school, she heard from me. And that was that I expected her to succeed. And because she heard that expectation, she strived to do that. It was really a simple thing. We tell our kids as young as 4, and of course they never quite leave the family, so as old as whatever, that we expect them to succeed because we need them to succeed. And we will help them to succeed, that they're never alone. So the additional theories of change that have always been a part of our culture And our mantra is social justice and personal identity, positive identity formation. We know that the young people that are out here doing so much violence with guns are not courageous until they have a gun in their hands. We want our young people to understand that with their intellect and with their compassion, they can garner far more success for themselves by being positive contributors to society. I want to share that the power of social justice is also the power of self-advocacy. Young people have got to stand up and speak for themselves when they need help, when they are confused, when they are troubled. Because if we are not prepared to listen to them then they turn to other things. They turn to gangs, they turn to drugs, they turn to guns, and those things, you know, they tear up the fabric of our society. The other thing is, how do you look at young people? I want you to really think about it. Do you have high expectations of them? Do you say hello even if you don't know them? Do you ask them how they are and then listen for their answer? If you don't have the resources, know that we are one. There are many nonprofits in the city of Oakland and throughout the Bay Area whose goal it is to help young people become positive contributors to the community. And that's just by completing a high school education, wanting to move into a career, perhaps home ownership, but at the very least, to have confidence in their own ability to contribute. Too often, we don't expect much from our young people. Well, EOYDC's belief system is that our young people are subject matter experts of their own experience. Nobody knows them like they do. And it's why with the beginnings of any program, I love program design. So we created computer technology. We created the summer program. We created the pathway to college and then took them on college tours. We did so many first-time exposure kinds of opportunities because our young people have a tendency not to move outside of the 40 block radius of their lives in order for them to see the power of their own possibility, to be exposed to other cities, other states, other cultures, other environments. It is an incredible thing to watch their transformation. Oftentimes when we are on a field trip, whether it's a college tour or otherwise, they have never been there. And then you introduce them to an alum of EOYDC, that person on the college campus that's going to give them that tour, or that teacher, that professor in the college campus, or that doctor or lawyer that we bring to them in the spirit of our college mentoring program called Brotherhood Across America. It is one of the things that lets them know that they are not alone. They see someone that looks like them, who comes from where they've come from and who has succeeded. And that plants the seed that they can too. I remember when Congresswoman Barbara Lee invited me to lead a delegation of high school students to China. They'd only ever had programs that led college students. And the Congresswoman knew that we had incredibly engaged young people who could think for themselves, who probably didn't have the exposure to another culture. So as part of the 100,000 Strong initiative that President Obama created, we left. Now, I had never taken students internationally, and I worked with 3 other organizations where the young people did not go through the same kind of programming we did. In preparation, we took them all over the place. We went to Chinatown and understood what was in our own backyard. We went to the Asian Museum to understand the history. So much of our African American history has been broken. We've been separated from it. So I wanted to show them that there are people with thousands of years of experience well, maybe it's hundreds of years, but knowing their roots and how important it is that they connect with that and not feel less than for it, but be empowered by it. I detailed our journey in a TED Talk called Taking Risks to Transform Lives. And what it did was identified the transformation of a young person. She was 16 when she started with us, and how she went through this entire transformative experience. Her first plane ride was the one we took her on to China. She has now since and become the first in her entire family to go to college, let alone graduate. She just graduated in December. And it was through that experience that so many across the country and certainly the world could see that the value proposition of social and emotional support, exposure, and expectation for success, it wins over and over and over again. And it's not to say that our kids aren't frightened of success. They are. That they don't cower or step back sometimes from being courageous because it's hard. But one of the things that we all try to model is that nothing worth having is easy. That's not new. And when you stand up to your fear, you are empowered in ways that you never imagined. And that you take with you everywhere you go. I took an extra step recently, 3 years ago, when I joined the police commission. What I really wanted to do was keep our children and our families safe. I recognized that in the midst of the bubble that we call EOYDC, that they could leave that building and be endangered. So I decided that my program designs and my policy experience might be able to help the police department as we worked on police reforms that we knew were so terribly necessary. Just yesterday, 2 of our young people read the names of the 71 homicide victims in Police Chief Armstrong's effort for a safe Oakland. And there's so much trauma and pain in Oakland, but it was really important to have the young people who probably experience more pain than the rest of us be courageous in leading through that dynamic presentation. As much as it was filled with pain, it also empowered them to be part of the present and help to contribute to the future. There's a lot of us versus them going on, and it's not necessary because we are all part of the community. But even in youth development, there's a lot of us versus them going on. We need not be afraid of our own children. We all need to stand up and be the village that helps pour into them and that helps to raise them. Now, I'm not telling anybody to go try and pull somebody off the corner or, try and talk them out of whatever life that they're in. You're not an expert, don't do it. Some people don't have that kind of tolerance and can't hear it. But my experience in the work is kind messaging will never be rejected. Saying that you want to help, if you in fact can help, will not be rejected. There are a lot of young people in this world that take the positive route because they know it exists. But there are some that don't know it exists. And that's why organizations like EOYDC exist. Our organization was created 42 years ago by Robert Shetterly, the former CEO of the Clorox company. He had a vision. Today, that vision is continuing to be empowered. And Clorox and so many other funders are also incredibly supportive of our work. But I think the best message that I can share about why you should support or just be more involved in what's going on in your city is because every moment that we are not engaged in knowing our young people and encouraging our young people is a moment we miss. I'm almost 60 years old. And I know that when I go into the hospital, some of those nurses and doctors are my kids, and I've trained them. My staff has trained them to give the very best they can give to support the families who are going through traumatic experiences. Same with music and teaching and electricians. Oh my goodness, I called one of my own kids to come fix some light fixtures, and he did an amazing job. What was most important to him was to ensure that I was happy, that I was pleased. And it was exceptional to be able to recommend him on Facebook and also on my social media channels to say, this is someone that we poured into when he was just 15 years old. And he still exudes the excellence that we said was necessary. I think I've probably come upon my time. I want to say to you all that EOYDC provides all free programs, all free programs. We give our young people incredible experiences. We also encourage them to build their social capital, and that you are never poor with if you have people resources. So I've put in the chat that if you'd like to join our newsletter, write us at hello@eoydc.org. You can follow EOYDC on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can also call us at 510-569-8088. As we are coming out of the pandemic, we are not using volunteers right now, but there may be future opportunities as we kind of navigate through these next 3 or 4 months. I praise you, I honor you, and I thank you for this opportunity. I don't know if there are questions in this format, but thank you.
No, that was
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Regina. Thank you so much. Awesome. Awesome. So I think we turn it now over to Kev Choice for his wonderful music.
No, not before you turn it over to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Robin. Before I
No
turn
worries.
Robin,
No
I
worries.
apologize. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much, Carmen and Regina, and all that have come together today, musicians and everything. We have been to church up in here. So with that, I want to let you know that if you are feeling moved with all that you've taken in and you need to get prayer, the prayer room will be open after service, and we'd love to pray with you. And if you want to get prayer from a practitioner individually, you can go to the website to oaklandcsl.org and find a practitioner that will pray with you at any time. It is our joy, it is our honor, it is our pleasure to do that. And also, I just want to say to Regina, thank you so much. And I want everyone to know that what the one of the things she said in there was, don't you can support the groups and you can do all these things, but let's not forget even just to say hello to our youth, to see them on the street and say hello and connect with them in that way. And when it comes time to reopen our youth and family, come up and visit, take a Sunday, come up and work and be with them and just honor that space, because you really do make a difference in their lives. So thank you for that. And now our closing affirmation. I commit to the highest vision for my life. Yes. And now, Kev and Omega Ray.
Just want to personally thank Regina again for coming through her words and just reaffirming the powerful impact of EOYDC in our community. I've done like some workshops there, some performances there over the decades, and it's just a beautiful space representing Oakland. And just thanks again, and make sure that y'all stay connected and stay supporting that incredible organization.
joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Thank
Amen.
you.
Give thanks.
Give thanks on CSL. Let's see your beautiful faces.
Hope
Thank
to see
you,
y'all soon in
Luchan.
person. Hopefully this is the last Zoom.
Yeah.
I love these boxes, but I can't wait to
You
be
ready to leave, Kev? Ready? You done with Zoom? You done with Zoom, Kev?
I mean, I love all the experiences we've had, but yes,
Yeah.
we're ready to
We'll
move
still have
into
Zoom
a new chapter.
every Wednesday night for the satsang service. Don't forget, we'll
Okay,
still have
I'll tap
Zoom.
in. Okay, for sure, for sure.
Everybody's welcome to that as well. Yes.
I say.
Free your mind and the rest will follow.
Mega, what up?
Hey, that was beautiful.
Thank you, brother Luchan. Thank
Great
you, brother. And I love
service.
that
Thank
J. Cole.
you.
That J. Cole album, by the way, is fire. I like the J. Cole. I want you to go listen to the Tyler. Go listen to the Tyler Creator album. Let's talk about that one too.
I got it.
Hey, son.